How did superhero movies change over time? Well, the evolution of superhero films has been nothing short of remarkable. From their humble beginnings as colorful, campy tales of larger-than-life heroes to today's intense, gritty narratives, superhero movies have evolved in response to cultural shifts, technological advances, and a deeper understanding of character complexity. Today, they dominate the box office and influence mainstream pop culture. But how did we get here? Let's take a closer look. Superhero movies, as we know them today, didn't always have the depth or sophistication we see now. In the 1940s and 50s, comic books were making their first big jump to the big screen. The first notable superhero film adaptations were serials, like Batman, 1943, and Captain America, 1944. These films were more about entertaining kids than exploring deep psychological themes, and they were often limited by the technology of the time, resulting in bright colors, exaggerated acting, and simple plots. But it wasn't until the 1960s that superhero movies hit a real mainstream audience with the Batman TV series starring Adam West. With its campy, over-the-top humor, this show became iconic for its flamboyant portrayal of Batman and his arch-nemesis. The show's colorful pop art style, along with its comedic approach to the source material, set the tone for what many people considered a fun superhero movie. Even in the films that followed, like The Green Hornet, 1966, and Superman, 1978, the focus was still primarily on entertainment and less on the inner workings of the characters. While the 60s and 70s were all about campy fun, the 1980s saw a shift towards a slightly darker, more grounded approach. The Superman films, especially the original 1978 classic starring Christopher Reeve, were an early indication that superhero movies could appeal to both children and adults. The portrayal of Superman as a man struggling with the weight of his powers helped bring a deeper, more relatable layer to the character. But it wasn't until the 1989 release of Batman, directed by Tim Burton, that the darker tone truly began to take root. Michael Keaton's Batman wasn't a campy, goofy hero. He was mysterious, complex, and brooding, setting a tone that would influence superhero films for years to come. The 1990s was a time of experimentation. Movies like The Crow, 1994, and Blade, 1998, took superhero stories into darker, more mature territory, with anti-heroes at the center of their narratives. These films weren't afraid to explore themes like vengeance, grief, and identity. While they weren't quite the gritty, emotionally complex films we see today, they laid the foundation for what would eventually evolve in the early 2000s. The 21st century marked a massive turning point in superhero cinema, and it all began with X-Men, 2000, and Spider-Man, 2002. These films embrace the idea of the superhero as someone with real human problems, making them more relatable to audiences. The stakes were higher, and so were the character developments. The success of Spider-Man, especially its portrayal of Peter Parker's coming-of-age story, signaled that superhero films didn't just need to be about spectacle, they could also be about human emotions, making them accessible to a wider range of viewers. Then came Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy, beginning with Batman Begins, 2005. Nolan's vision brought a hyper-realistic portrayal of Gotham and its hero. The gritty, grounded tone and focus on psychological themes, fear, corruption, and morality, shifted the genre to something far darker and more intellectually stimulating. The Dark Knight, 2008, in particular elevated superhero storytelling to new heights, showing that a superhero film could not only have incredible action sequences, but also a thought-provoking narrative that explored the complexities of heroism and villainy. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, beginning with Iron Man, 2008, then capitalized on this darker, more connected storytelling. Marvel began creating a shared universe of superheroes, blending complex characters like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers with intense, sometimes gritty plots. But unlike DC's Dark Knight series, Marvel's films still maintained a certain sense of humor and lightheartedness, making them feel more like an adventure than a dramatic psychological thriller. From 2010 to 2020, superhero films not only continued to evolve in complexity, but also began to expand into new genres and explore even more diverse characters and narratives. Films like Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, and Thor, Ragnarok, 2017, brought humor and vibrant visuals to the forefront, allowing for a more lighthearted and fantastical side of superhero cinema, while Logan, 2017, introduced a grittier, more mature approach that was less about the superhero genre and more about a character-driven drama set in a brutal world. Meanwhile, Black Panther, 2018, broke barriers in terms of cultural representation, offering a nuanced exploration of African identity, power, and heritage within the framework of a superhero story. This period also saw the expansion of superhero universes with Avengers, Endgame, 2019, which not only wrapped up over a decade's worth of interconnected storytelling, but also emphasized the emotional stakes for the characters, particularly with the death of Iron Man and the legacy left behind. The Spider-Man films, particularly Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, 2018, pushed the boundaries of animation and visual storytelling, offering a new dynamic way to experience superhero tales. At the same time, the rise of television shows like The Mandalorian, 2020, and the Disney Plus Marvel series such as WandaVision, 2021, began to show that the superhero genre could thrive in multiple formats, allowing for more intricate character development and storytelling than what was possible in traditional theatrical films. Today, superhero films have fully embraced their complexity, and they are no longer just about capes, costumes, and battles between good and evil. From the humor-filled Guardians of the Galaxy to the intense psychological drama of Joker, 2019, modern superhero films are far more diverse in their storytelling approach. They tackle deep issues like identity, trauma, and power, while still delivering on the action that audiences expect. WandaVision, 2021, and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 2021, show us that superhero stories can also dive into intricate character studies, while films like Logan, 2017, have shown that superhero movies can tackle themes of aging, loss, and mortality in an adult, heart-wrenching way. Meanwhile, The Batman, 2022, directed by Matt Reeves, proved that the gritty, noir-inspired superhero film is still alive and well. So how did superhero movies change over time? From the campy, lighthearted days of the 60s to the darker, more emotionally complex films we see today, the genre has undergone an extraordinary transformation. Superhero films have evolved from simple escapist fun to powerful stories that explore the depths of human nature. With technology continuing to push the boundaries of visual effects and storytelling, there's no telling where superhero cinema will go next. But one thing is for sure, the genre has proven that it's here to stay, evolving right alongside the audiences who continue to love these larger-than-life characters.